Last episode, we had our first ever MLB draft in this franchise series, and with our first ever draft pick, the 8th overall pick in the draft, we selected Geraldo Franco, who is a 75 overall player, but only 67 actual potential. I asked at the end of last episode if I should up that to 75 to match his overall rating, but then I found out, thanks to a commenter, that the potential is more so how fast they can progress rather than, what they could be in a couple of seasons. We also took a third baseman and a couple of other starting pitchers, all of whom have very different skill sets. So we have kind of a mix and match of guys with high velocity, low control, or a high hit per nine and things like that. So there was a lot to like and now a lot to look forward to going forward with this draft class. But we enter the episode at a 52-57 record, with Logan O'Hoppe leading us in home runs and RBIs, while Brandon Drury leads us in hits with 111. Julian right now is the highest WAR batter at 3.2, despite the relatively high K rate. Meanwhile, the guys that we called up from AAA last episode, Jimmy Herget, has pitched 12 innings so far and is doing a solid job, but the whip is up to 1.58, which is a little too high for my liking. Meanwhile, Andrew Wantz, who was also called up, has yet to allow a run and only 4 innings pitched, but he's done a great job when we jumped in to go see him play. But I want to start off the episode by focusing on two of our young prospects, Walker Jenkins and Marco Luciano, both of whom are bottom 5 right now in terms of average on the AAA roster, but they are very similar batters. We'll talk about them more as we go through a couple of highlights for each player in 3 showcase games. But Marco Luciano is a negative WAR player right now with the lowest average on the AAA team. Meanwhile, Jose Soriano, one of the fresh arms brought in this offseason by the Angels, has been in AAA this entire season, but he has pitched extremely well. A whip less than 1, an ERA below 2, and 70 strikeouts to 28 walks. So I felt really comfortable calling him up from AAA. And we're going to send down Robert Stevenson in his place because he has really struggled in the bullpen this season. But with Walker Jenkins and Luciano being our top 2 prospects, let's go into a couple of games with these two and see what they can do in some player lock action. We start off with Walker Jenkins here against the Tacoma Rainiers at Ship-It Stadium. Facing Emmett Hancock here in the second inning, Walker Jenkins rounds out to third base. Now, these two guys, as I alluded to earlier, are very similar batters in the sense that both players essentially have mid-tier contact and mid-tier power against both lefties and righties. The only difference really being that Walker Jenkins bats lefty and Luciano bats righty, but Jenkins is a really good defender already. Now he's playing DH here and not playing in the outfield for most of his time right now in Salt Lake, but he's got, plate vision below 50, so when batting with him, it's not going to be easy on even good swings like this one to get him on base. Going to have to rely more on the discipline, but that is at a very similar rating as to plate vision, so unless I'm the one controlling Walker Jenkins, it's going to be hard to get him on base, especially when you got me controlling him when I am prone to swinging on most pitches, especially if they're in the zone. Walker Jenkins with the home run here, a no-doubt shot to right field, and that extends, or rather doubles, the Salt Lake Bees lead. His 5th home run of the season, so a nice highlight right there. But he's only got 52 power against righties and 45 power against lefties. So until that gets up, you're not going to be seeing too many home runs for him. So he's 1 for 5 here in this first ball game as it goes to extras, but grounding out here in the top of the 10th. With the Bees up by 5, they would hang on to win. With Drew Pomeranz, who started this season up in the majors, getting the win for Salt Lake. Going to the second game, and bases loaded for Jenkins. He unfortunately flies out, but it will get the runner at third base home. So a sac fly will count as the RBI for him. At least got somebody across home plate. And now a much better swing, but another fly out to left field. So you're already seeing this. It's pretty evident here in these first couple of plays that it's not going to be often where he's going to have more than a single drop down in the field, because there's not a lot of pop off the bat for him right now. But Michael Stefanik up after him, and he grounds out to third base. The force out at second ends the 6th inning with Salt Lake up 7-1. Nobody on here in the 8th inning, and that's a scorcher. A fastball left over the plate, and that will be extras for Walker Jenkins. A little bit of a delayed curve around the first base, but he still gets a double there with Stefanik up again, and he cannot bring Walker Jenkins home, and that once again closes this inning. But the lead extends to 7 for the Bees, and they would hang on to win by just as much. Adam Simber gets the win. And now Salt Lake has won 2 straight games after a losing streak here against Tacoma. They would win that series 4-2, so now it's time for Marco Luciano. He's facing Las Vegas here in the first game with Morales on the mound. And this is Jordan Adams with his 12th steal. Getting to second base. No swing by Luciano, and then he would make this at-bat last a long while. Couple of foul balls, taking some balls on the outside as well. But a lot of swings here. And he eventually gets the count to full. Fouls off the high heater and then finally puts the ball in play to advance the runner. But just like with Walker Jenkins, Luciano has less than 60 contact against righties and lefties. And again, with plate vision being only around 46, it's gone up to by 4 this season. But with low plate vision and relatively mid-tier contact, it's going to be tough sledding trying to get on base unless you have some really solid swings. But he is playing at second base here. We got somebody else at shortstop where he would usually be playing. But a couple of double plays there, and then hot off the bat, pulled to left field, slider left up, it is gone. And Luciano puts together his 11th home run this year. That was 106 off the bat. It goes 436 out of the ballpark to put Salt Lake on the board. Going to the next game against Las Vegas, and we're already down by 1 here in the 2nd inning. But Luciano and Walker Jenkins both are better defenders than they are batters. But Walker Jenkins definitely is already major league ready for the outfield, but Luciano has things to work on as a fielder for sure. He's only got 57 fielding and an arm at 64, so until those get better, he's got work to do to be a really good shortstop. But here he has a stand-up triple, his first triple this season, so seeing some extra base hits by both players in their time in these player lock games. That one coming off JT Ginn, who has definitely had some experience in the major leagues as a pitcher. That would bring up Chad Wallach, who's been the best batter by far on the AAA team. But he grounds out to end the 4th. We go bottom of the 9th, a chance for a walk-off base hit here with a man on second facing Beto. And this one is hit into the outfield. That's going to bring home the runner if he can get there in time, which he does. And Marco Luciano leads the comeback victory with the walk-off base hit. What a highlight for him. It's going to be a career moment to remember for his time in the farm system. He's only a 68 overall, but A potential, 22 years old right now. Really hoping to get him up to the majors because he and Walker Jenkins both have a 2024 MLB ETA. So hopefully they can reach that level of potential to make themselves ready for the majors by maybe next season, but we got September call-ups coming up soon. So we'll see if either of them gets the nod, but back to the majors we go, and we end up losing a series against the Mets, then winning one against the Yankees, winning a series against the Nationals, and now we find ourselves 6 games below 500. We have surpassed the Rangers for the second best offense in terms of the AL West numbers, but our pitching still has a lot to be desired as we are allowing the second most runs so far. And we're also coming off a 5-game losing streak, including a sweep against the KC Royals on the road. So I thought, why not get ourselves back on track by facing a really hot Blue Jays team that come in 20 games above 500 at 74-54. Chris Bassett gets the start. He's 7-9 so far this year, but we're going to start Griffin Canning, who we have yet to see in a showcase game, but he has been one of our most reliable starters all season long and has really not had his ERA climb over 4, so he's been really solid. Hoping to get a really good day together for him. Looking for at least a quality start, but also the win. Owen Chanel starts the game off with a base hit off of Bassett, so we are immediately on base, nobody out. Brandon Drury, way in front of that slurve, left over the heart of the plate, and then way in front of the cutter. And then again, very early, and this time it's a double play. Exactly what you don't want to see after starting off the day with a single. So now comes up Edward Julien, who is on a 19-game hitting streak. His average has climbed all the way to 314, and he starts his day with a blast to right field that leaves the outfield. Edward Julien now up to a 20-game hitting streak, and that was home run number 20 for him on the season. Now, he typically only bats against right-handed pitchers, but when he's out there, he is an absolute offensive spark. Logan O'Hoppe nearly hits the roof with this one, but way underneath it, and he flies out to end the first. But the Angels strike first with a solo shot. So as I said, Griffin Canning on the mound today. His ERA has climbed a little bit, but still below 4. And he sends Kevin Kiermaier packing with his first strikeouts. That brings up Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who chases the outside slider, and Sean Noel gets to first base on his own for out number 2. But now, a scary guy to face. It's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. sending a shot to center field. Joe Adell there at the warning track to end the first. Almost had a tie ball game right there in the first inning alone. Leading off the second is Aaron Hicks, who sends a high flyer to left field. That one's got some carry, but this one is also caught at the warning track by Dalton Varsho. That brings up Mickey Moniak. First chance to bat with him off the injury, I believe, and he grounds out to second base. Luis Rengifo next up. 7th in our lineup, and he is also out late on the inside cutter. So we go bottom 2. Danny Jansen is retired, swinging through that inside slider. Second K for Canning here. And now he gets George Springer on a little blooper, and Brandon Drury with the wheels to track that one down. That saves the base hits. Justin Turner grounds the ball to Rengifo, but he can't scoop it up. And they're going to call this one a base hit, but it is really an error on Rengifo. He won't often get playing time at shortstop, but he's playing there today because Zach Neto was feeling a little bit tired. And then Davis Schneider with the base hit, and they've got 2 men on, 1 in scoring position for Varsho. Chases the slider. He's been struggling at the plate this season with a 205 average, and it's not going to get any better here as Canning gets out of the jam here, and we're still leading 1-0. First at bat for Miguel Sano, and he struck it well, but right to center field. No movement needed from Kiermaier to make that out. And then Joe Adell gives Bassett his first K with a late swing. Oh, and Shawnoel gets a good pitch as well, but nothing doing with that cutter, and the side is quickly retired. Holding on to a slim lead, and Kevin Biggio looks at strike number 2. The count goes full, and then he gets on base with an opposite field single. Or is it a single? It's going to be extras. He's got some speed, and he is into second base with a stand-up double to lead off this third inning. His 12th double this season. Kevin Kiermaier, after striking out in his first at-bat, will pop out here in the middle of the infield for out number 1. Still a guy in scoring position for Kiner Falefa, and Shawnoel can't make the diving grab, and then he pitches it late to Canning at first base. And they've got runners at the corners, so just a couple of odd plays here in the infield, and that was kind of my fault. So now we're in some danger with Guerrero at the plate, but an ugly swing inside. He's down in the count, and then he chops one to shortstop. And Rengifo to second base, can't get the force out, and the throw to first is late too, and a run will score. And if I would have made that throw to first base instead, the inning would be over. We'd be still in front. Instead, the Blue Jays tie things up after a couple of really odd fielding decisions by the Angels. And we're all knotted up here at 1. So I got to work on my fielding clearly, and I got to work with Drury here on timing these swings well, because he's had 2 pretty much home run balls, but he's pulled them beyond the foul pole on both of them and has yet to get on base against Chris Bassett. So next up, Edward Julian, up 2-1 in the count, and he struck it perfectly. This time it's an opposite field blast. Another solo shot from Julian, and we are back in the driver's seats. 2-1 off the big fly, his 21st home run, and his second here in the ballgame. Having a lot of fun batting with Julian here, because just like Logan O'Hoppe, he just has a really nice swing and plenty of pop off the bats. And more often than not, with those time swings, you will get extra base hits like we have so far in this one. Two outs here in the 4th against Davis Schneider, and he is retired. The 4th is over. Griffin Canning dealing right now through 4. Mickey Moniak back at the plate after grounding out in his first plate appearance, and now he's on base with the sinker over the plates and up the middle. Rengifo, though, early on the 12-6 curve, right into another double play. It's already our second one here in this game after a leadoff single in one of these innings. I never seem to bat well with Luis Rengifo. I always seem to be either too early, too late, and even when I strike the ball well, it's usually not really put in play all too well. Here's a nice strikeout again for Canning. That's going to be his 6th one. I think that's going to be his 4th in a row. That brings up Kevin Biggio, and he is jammed inside. Pop out to Drury for out number 2. 0 for 2 so far today. Kevin Kiermaier with Kiner Falefa on deck, and he is retired too to end the 5th. Griffin Canning right now just is not allowing much contact, and when he does, it's not really being put into the fields. Joe Adell here in the 6th. Chases the high cutter, and that's the 4th K for Chris Bassett. But his pitch count is getting up there, and Shawnoel gets an opposite field single to drop in. with 1 out. Brings up Brandon Drury. And once again, we're back to being very early. And it's because this guy is pitching at 70 miles per hour. I'm not used to that. And once again, just like in the first inning, Drury grounds right into a double play to get Shohei out. But Kiner Falefa swings through the fastball, and Canning picks up his 8th strikeout, not even through a full 6 innings. His pitch count is getting up there, and Guerrero almost got on base. But 2 outs, trying to get Canning the quality starts. Inside there to Danny Jansen, who's batting cleanup today, and he grounds out to the hot corner, and the 6th is over. Canning 0 for 100 pitches, but he gets through 6, only 1 run allowed. That's going to be a quality start for him. And to lead off the 7th inning, guess who? We got Edward Julian leading us off. 2 at-bats, 2 home runs, and both of those have us in the lead right now by a single run. Chris Bassett's still out there, and Julian can't get it over the shortstop, so he is out. Aaron Hicks, 1 batter later, sends 1 to center field, but it's a line out, 100 miles per hour off the bat. But just like in our last showcase game, we're having some really good swings, but just cannot get on base for some reason. Jose Soriano will relieve Canning here. It's his first appearance since being called up, and he immediately starts off hot with a George Springer strikeout. Justin Turner next up. A bit behind the fastball, and Mickey Moniak is underneath it for the 2nd out. Schneider went around for strike 2, and he's fallen behind. But the count goes even, and now he's back on base with his 2nd single. So 1 on, 2 outs. Next man up is Dalton Varsho, the left fielder, and he grounds right to Rengifo to end the inning. 6 outs away from another close win. Can we hold on? Gotta try and tack on more here in the 8th as Yimi Garcia hits Moniak on his butt cheek, and he takes first base. Rengifo behind the fastball, and this one is lifted to the warning track in left field. That'll keep Moniak at first base, and then another double play ball. This time it's Miguel Sano on a good timing swing, but his contact against righties is not the best. Blue Jays are hype after preventing any runs there, so Andrew Wantz will relieve Soriano here. He's been way better against right-handed batters and lefties, and they're going to bring in Bo Bichette to pinch hit. I guess he got the day off today, but not anymore. Chasing a couple of outside pitches. The 5th of the at-bat is on the outside, and another strikeout for the Angels bullpen. Or really the entire pitching staff. Kevin Kiermaier next up, and he grounds out to first base. Inching closer to a victory. Kiner Falefa looks at strike 2. Beautiful one on the corner. And he falls behind in the count, and he chased the outside cutter. Andrew Wantz, just like Joe Ryan, always seems to get guys to chase on the outside, and they also miss a lot on swings inside the zone. Joe Adell pops out here to Espinal, who subbed in at second base after the 7th. And then Nolan Shanuel grounds out to short to bring up our final outs here top of the 9th. This is Brandon Drury. Once again early on almost every swing in this game. Not sure why it was just him being early, but we're going bottom 9 with their best batters due up. Can we prevent a walk-off scenario here? Still leading 2-1. Guerrero fouls off the circle change. Behind in the count, and he is retired. Back to the dugout he goes. Andrew Wantz stays in, trying to go for his 3rd save here this season. He's only allowed 1 or 2 runs all year long, and Danny Jansen is also retired on strikes. This one was high in the zone, and Jansen was well behind it. For out number 2, that brings up George Springer, looking at a dangerous slurve there that could have been crushed if he would have swung. And then he's popped up on the inside fastball, and the game is over. Andrew Watts gets the save. Griffin Canning gets the win, and the Angels have pulled themselves out of a 5-game slump. A pitcher's duel, just like last episode, gets us the win. Griffin Canning moves to 7-8 on the season, but we followed up with a win, 10-3. The offense puts together 15 hits, and we got 2 home runs from Zach Neto in his return to the lineup. 5 RBIs for Jake Marisnick in center field. Jose Suarez gets its 9th victory this season and moved to 500 with his record, only 2 runs allowed. And then in our next game, we secured the series win by beating them 7-1. The pitching staff doing a great job against a really hot Toronto team, and the offense doing well too. Mickey Moniak and Rengifo go yard, and this one, Reed Detmers with one of his best showings all year long. 7 full innings, only 1 run allowed with 7 strikeouts to boot. Andrew Watts with the hold and no runs allowed and 2 innings pitched. But they would pull one back to prevent the series sweep, beating us 9-4. And in this game, we had 4 solo shots from Rengifo, Ohapi, Odell, or Joe Adell, and Matt Tice, but nobody else got on base. Nobody else brought home an RBI. And Joe Ryan, Sandoval, Estevez all give up 3 runs en route to a 5-run loss. And now we've only got 1 week left here in the month of August, which means that we have 5 days until September call-ups. So probably going to use 2 episodes to round out this first season. And I got no idea who to call up right now from AAA because the only real good hitter right now has been Chad Wallach, and he's like 32 years old, deep potential. I'm not sure he would be the right guy to help us out with Logan Ohapi being our primary catcher on a day-to-day basis. So we'll see about that. We could call up a pitcher or 2, but that will end the episode here, folks. We got 2 episodes left to round out year 1, and I will see you guys in the next one. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, and peace out.